Morning, good evening, everyone. We can get started. Today's conversation is with Akshata Parekh, and it's going to be a pretty interesting and the first of its kind, very practical approach to a topic like this. Before we get started, let me just go through a few of the housekeeping things. Number one is, as always, please type away your questions in the chat window, and we'll make sure to get those questions answered by the end of it. And please stay on mute so it's easier for everyone to hear. If you're not already a member of the Longevity Lab, which is what you're right now attending a session of, there are quite a few reasons to do so, starting with the fact that it's free. But more importantly, there are quite a few interesting things like this talk. You get to ask questions of the community, and doctors and dietitians answer your questions, and so on and so forth. It's easy. Just scan the QR code, or use the URL at the bottom and type it into your browser, and you're ready to go. One of the things that we have been doing is we have had one group on this community. It's all WhatsApp based, and on that group you could ask a lot of questions across topics. But one thing that we have decided to do is make it a little bit more focused. And so starting right away, you can join the main community, but you can also join very specific health focused sub-communities. So there's the general community, which is the one you're already a part of if you're on the community. But now you can pick any of the following topics, and you can join those communities that you care about. You can join one or more. Any topics that you care about, you join. And as always, it's a WhatsApp group, so you can join some of them later. You can get out of them whenever you want to. And whatever is discussed, the one thing about WhatsApp is, while it's really convenient, it's very hard to organize things, so things keep scrolling up. And so what we do is everything that we post, or any of the conversations that I had there, we also make them available in a very organized manner on the Longevity Lab website. And so all you need to do if you want to experience this, whether you're an existing member or you're a new member, all you do is type in tryph.ai/start in your browser, and then it will very systematically walk you through the steps. And within about 2 minutes, you'll be completely logged into the website. You'll get the option to choose whichever groups you want, and you're ready to go. Okay. The other thing, we always announce something that's interesting. And so this week, what we've done is we have partnered with a company that focuses on making healthy desserts. And we have, as always, we tried ourselves, and we make sure we are willing to put into our bodies. And so there's a company called Upside Health, and they make some pretty interesting desserts. They're tasty. They're not very high in sugar, and so on. And so we evaluated them. These are some of the things we evaluated for. And I should mention that at the end of the day, it's still a dessert. It's not a meal. So have it as a dessert and not as a meal. And the ones that we have evaluated, we recommend having half a serving at a time rather than the full serving, because it meets all the criteria that we had set out for. All you need to do is to get access to this, you go to upsidehealth.in, and if you use the code PH100, you can get the 20% discount across everything. Right now, it's available in Pune and Mumbai only, and we're hoping that they expand to others. And as always, we go do these deals, whether it's with the blood testing centers, imaging centers, protein powders, so that you get all the discount. We don't take any cuts or commissions. And here are the various things we evaluated for. You see in green all the parameters that met our criteria. We found that the amount of saturated fat is higher than what we would recommend. But if you have half the serving, which is 50 grams, I think you'll be reasonably good. Again, it's a dessert. Enjoy it, but don't have it as a meal. So that's that. Our speaker for next week, we always announce the next week's speaker. It's Dr. Simran Kapoor, and she is an Ayurvedic doctor. Actually, she started off as a traditional doctor, went through medical school in the US, and then she had a bout with cancer, and that's what got her to explore Ayurveda. And so next week's conversation will be her sharing her experience. And so I think you should definitely tune in for that. Well, on to the speaker and the expert for today, Akshata. Uh, so I'm now going to read through everything. I think this is as always, a shortened version of everything Akshata has done. But I think what I found when I spoke to Akshata before this was that she is sort of married to very, very distinct things: medicine slash mental health and art. And I thought that was just so fascinating. And so we'll get into conversations with Akshata, and she is a practicing doctor at clinics at hospitals in Pune. And so, how all of this came about is going to be a very, very fun conversation. So, without further ado, Akshata, welcome to the community.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. Thank you so much for having me today.
Lovely. So, let's get into it, Akshata. So, like I mentioned, um, we are going to make this a little practical, and Akshata has some very fun things planned for us so that we experience some of these things firsthand rather than it just being this hand wavy conversation. So maybe I'll ask Akshata, up to you. Do you want me to ask? Do you want to set it up? What
Yeah.
we're going to be doing next?
Yes, I can start it off, and then maybe we can move on to the more structured or the questions part of it. Um, Nikhil, if you don't mind, can we just put the screen off,
Yes.
the one
Yes.
with my introduction?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Lovely. So I guess in the message, Nikhil had asked everyone to keep some crayons or some paper and some pencils or like a pen handy. Um, Great, Sneha. Thank you so much for giving me a heads up that you already have something with you. For those who don't have like a paper or a pencil or maybe just some crayons around, you might want to grab it. I'll give you a few couple of seconds before we start off. We need a simple piece of paper and some pens, or like one pen or one crayon or one like marker, and we should be okay to get started. I wish we were. I wish we had a longer period of time to do more experientials, but I guess we'll do something quick, keeping everyone's time in mind as well. So, what I want everyone to do, I know I can't see you, but I invite everyone just to sit back. You might be sitting, you might be lying down, you might be just like walking around. So just take a position that is comfortable for you. Take a pause basically from whatever you are doing. A lot of times we listen to these talks while doing like multiple things. So I'm just going to invite everyone to take that little pause, and going to invite everyone to close their eyes or maybe just lower their gaze. If closing eyes is hard, maybe you just want to lower your gaze. And as you do that, I invite all of you to take a deep breath in. Just take a deep breath in and then slowly releasing. And one more time together, let's take a deep breath in and slowly breathing out. And as you take the next breath in, I also invite you to pay all your attention and awareness to your breath and your body. Maybe pass your breath, maybe pass your attention to each and every part of your body, starting from the head to your toes, just scanning. The intention is not to change anything, but just to notice and observe what's going on. Maybe there are some sensations, maybe there is some internal movement. Maybe your body part needs a little more of your kindness today. Allowing your breath to flow and slowly make your way and bring your attention and awareness to your feet or, or to your back or to your legs that are touching a surface. Just finding yourself being supported by the floor, supported by the chair. If you're lying down, supported by the bed. And as you take the next breath in, soak into the support that you already have. And then, whenever you are ready, and you can take your own time, I invite you to come back to this group, maybe to the screen, and back to your paper and a piece of pencil, a piece of paper or a pen or a pencil you have. I'm going to give everyone maybe 2 to 3 minutes to make a symbol of how you're feeling right now, or to write down a couple of words, or just doodle on this piece of paper, allowing your thoughts, allowing the, the hand to flow on this piece of paper. You don't have to make anything beautiful. It's more about your expression. So just allowing your hand to move through this piece of paper, or writing down a couple of words or thoughts that are coming to you. For those who are done already, maybe you can still engage with the piece of paper that's in front of you. So maybe reading it out to yourself, or just maybe like moving your fingers on the piece of paper, just noticing the art that has been created on this piece of paper. Allowing more of this pause to come in. And breathing through that pause. I'm going to open up the space for the next 1 or 2 minutes for anybody who wishes to share. You might want to share the symbol that you've made, or you might want to put it in chat, some of the words that came for you, or you might want to just start your video and show us your symbol, whatever feels comfortable for you. And just keeping the time in check, maybe we can go with 3 sharings. And then, of course, you can feel free to share everything else with Nikhil, and then Nikhil will pass it on to me.
All right, I can.
Oh, Nikhil, I'm not able to see yet. Okay.
I think it's going to take some time to focus.
Yeah. Oh, great. I can see it now. And I can see the word kindness as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
That was the word, I guess, because of having calmed down. That was the one word that seemed to hit me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just seeing some of the things that are coming in the chat as well. Grateful, joy, peace, fresh, content, alert, alive, productive, tingling, calm, peace, sleep. Okay. Anybody who wishes to share their art?
Yeah, I can try. I tried making it. It was a feather that I made. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can see some of them.
There's only one feather.
I can see some of the windows is what I meant. Sorry. Sorry, Sneha. I can see some of the art material. So Sneha, Nikhil, can you highlight Sneha as well, and Nadia maybe, because I think they were the ones sharing. Is it possible to highlight or like spotlight
Yeah.
them?
Can let me see. Can you see them? I've put them. I've pinned them.
Yes, I can see Sneha now. Sneha, can you show me your feather again? Hey. Sneha, what is the word that comes
It
up?
was. It's a pink, green, and blue feather. Those were the pencils that I had around me, and the word was calm that came.
Great. Thank you, Sneha. I can see Nadia's art as well. Nadia, can you unmute yourself and tell me more about it?
Okay, so it's my sister who's doing it. So I'm just here.
Okay.
And you can tell her.
I'm here for the first time. I loved how we got started. So this is what I was seeing with my eyes closed. So
Mhm.
every time I had a few moments, I'd close my eyes, I'd see something. And the first one I did with my eyes closed. Then this I did after opening my eyes the second time. This just came right before we ended that practice. And oh yeah, this was the last one. This also just came like it flashed behind my eyes, and then I opened my eyes and I quickly did that.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And everyone, thank you so much for sharing that. And towards the end of the session, I'll also tell you a little bit about why we did what we did. So we'll kind of go to that debrief a little later. I want you to kind of hold on to this feeling, this art right now, and the curiosity right now, and then we'll move into the debrief a little bit later. Nikhil, over to you.
Great.
To
All right,
everyone.
you've got us all very intrigued now, Akshata. Now I can't wait for the interpretation. So maybe, Akshata, we can start with you're a clinical mental health counselor, right? And you have married these two very, like I said, disparate things. But I want to talk about the disparate things next. First, I want to just ask you, uh, how did you get? What made you want to become a mental health counselor?
Mhm. So it's been an interesting journey actually. Like I was I've done my bachelor's in journalism. So I did mass communication. I moved from Pune to Bombay to study like mass media, and I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. And still really working with, I was always intrigued with stories. So I wanted to always work with stories and stories of people. So really looking at like lifestyle journalism. But it so happened that my father passed away in the last 6 months of my college, and it was really sudden. So I came back to Pune and to be with my family. And when I came back to Pune, I had really nothing about journalism that I could do here at that point of time. And I've been a Bharatanatyam dancer since the age of 4. And what really kept me going through that time, through the grieving as well, was my dance. And so I went, I started dancing again after a couple of months. I started going for classes, working with children a little bit. And that kind of really helped me through that process. And it so kind of happened that there was a dance movement therapy course that was happening for the first time in Pune 10 years, 10, I think 12 years ago. So one of my friends said, like, why don't you kind of go for it and see if that is something that calls out to you? And then one thing led to the other. So I did my dance movement therapy and did my visual art therapy with a certificate form, did my drum circle facilitation. And then I realized that all of these pieces were coming in together, but the piece of psychology was missing. So I went back to Ferguson College to study counseling and psychology, and then moved to kind of putting all of these pieces together with my master's in expressive arts therapy. So it was a personal experience that led me to the field of mental health and the arts, and personal experience from a point of view that really helped me. And I felt like that was my calling. And so for the last 10 years, one thing has led to the other and the other, and it has kind of all come in together.
What strikes me, Akshata, as you were saying this is, um, at least my observations over time have been that people who get into a field because of a personal experience tend to view it as much as a recipient of their work as a giver of that of the service they provide. And I'm assuming that that must be so true for you, right? When you see people, you can sort of empathize with what and where they have come from. Is that sort of what you've experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like all of us go through our own experiences, and a big part of being in the mental health field is also to kind of keep your experience slightly like away from the group or the individuals that you're working with, so that you can give that active listening and empathy to your full capacity, and then your stories kind of don't take over. So it's a lot about the clients that we work with or the communities that we work with. So in that way, yes, there's always a give and take. There is always an exchange, and some stories really kind of heal parts of you as well. So I wouldn't say like it's not a give and take. It's 100% an exchange. But a part of being in the mental health field is also to kind of really work through your own story, so you can be there and you can completely empathize with somebody who's sitting in front of you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, how would you define expressive arts therapy? You use the term. How would you define that to someone who knows nothing about it?
So expressive arts therapy is simple words, it's the integration of the arts. So it's music, movement, visual arts, writing, drama, all of these coming in together for a therapeutic goal, for therapy, for awareness building, for community engagement. So there are various ways why we use expressive arts therapy, but various objectives why we use expressive arts therapy. But simply put, it's the integration of the arts. And I'll tell you more about it. The philosophy comes from no art is isolated. So for example, if you can just air drum with me, everyone who's on video, maybe you can just like show me how you drum. And so when you're drumming, it's not like you're not drumming without your body. When you're drumming, maybe there is a rhythm there's a pulse that you kind of hold in your legs. When you're moving, there's an internal rhythm or some music being played. When you're making art, you're moving your hands, you're moving your body. So there is always an integration of one art form into the other. And the whole philosophy of expressive arts therapy is the integration of these arts. So no arts is looked at in isolation. So the ethos, the philosophy is how we can bring all of these arts together to just work with our mind-body connection, with the left and the right-hand side of the brain. Also, like how can we activate all our senses so that we can have fuller lives. The quality of our life also kind of gets affected when we use the arts in a positive way. So the entire perspective of expressive arts is to kind of really look at that body connection, mind-body connection.
Yeah, and as you were sort of making us do the drumming and all of that, I realized that you're using as much of your physical, there's movement, like you were saying earlier, but there's also you're distracting your mind and brain into doing something in a much more focused manner, right?
Absolutely. And I would say like engaging our mind and our senses in a more present way. The arts always brings you to the here and the now. And that's the quality of the arts. So for example, when you're doodling, which you did in earlier on in this session, or when you're engaging in any of the arts, it helps you to bring your focus to the right now. That means how are you feeling at this moment? You might have had an experience in the past, or you might have some kind of thought processes about the future, but the mind or the arts bring you back to the present, just acknowledging all the feelings that you're sitting with, all the emotions that you're sitting with. So to truly understand and be aware of who am I, what am I feeling in this moment.
And of course, this was a short session, right? The practical experiential session. But I also observed that almost everyone who shared the words or their doodling, the words were all suddenly a lot more about calmness, peace, kindness, which I imagine if we had said right at the beginning of the session, before you got into any of it, I don't know if those are the words that would come to all our minds. Right? So how you seem to regulate your emotions translates automatically or directly into the words you would use, right? The feelings you have.
Yeah. Also, like if you notice, one of the intentions that we put forward was let's take a pause. And as soon as you hear the word pause or let's slow down, we are all thinking about those feelings of stillness, those feelings of calm, those feelings of being grateful, for example. So the intention was put forward when I facilitated that first part. But a lot of times these arts or the expressive arts could be really helpful in the work where people have gone through various traumas, for example, or are sitting with something that they are not able to express. And so the arts become a non-verbal way of expression. And so in our sessions and when we work long time, we see a lot of, very deep, very feelings that have not been expressed before come up. And those could be anger, jealousy, envy. It can also be disgust and disconnect. And those things are also allowed in our session because the arts are here to help you process all of that. The arts are not here only for For example, the more positive feelings. But here, like, why do we have this positive and negative feelings? Feelings are feelings. There's no differentiation. So the arts also do not differentiate with the feelings. So you really kind of sit with, we often use the word, we sit with our feelings. So that means we're really kind of working through everything that's coming up for us, not giving importance to just one or the other, but just really acknowledging everything that's happening.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so, you were a dancer. You, because of a personal experience, you got into counseling, and then you sort of connected the two and found the connection you spoke about. Is this a field that is taking off elsewhere? Is it still in its infancy? Where does this area stand?
So to be honest, like when you look back at our world history, India history, arts have always been a part of our lives. We've always used arts. Like even if you go back to world wars, people use the arts to communicate with each other, to actually grieve, to sit around a bonfire, sing songs because they've lost a loved one, or they don't know how life looks like after this, or maybe like the uncertainty. So you've often seen in movies as well, there is poetry and there's dancing, there's music. That's always been a part of our expression. At some point of time, this expression became more performative. And like that was the trajectory of the arts as well. But right now, in various parts of the world, expressive arts or arts are being more formalized to come back to therapy or to come back to expression. And it's not that we've not used these arts before for our expression. It's just that right now we're offering it in a more formalized way because life has changed, things have changed. We live in very stressful environments, and we need a space to kind of fall back on, and we need communities where art engagement happens and where we can go and say like, yes, this is my time and my space, and a safe space where I'm going to use the arts for my own expression without worrying about the product the art is giving you. So we always kind of really concentrate on the process of art creation, then the product of it. So it doesn't matter how you move. It doesn't matter what your symbol looks like. It doesn't matter what kind of music you're making. As long as you're engaging in the arts, as long as you're using it for your own self-expression is the most important. So yes, all around the world right now, I think the expressive arts or the arts in mental health field is getting more formalized, more structured. But this is not something new. This is just a way of for us to kind of again be a reminder or again fall back on the arts. But as a way of education, yes, it's being more formalized. As a way of therapy, it's being more formalized. In India as well, we are a small community working towards really pushing this field so that everyone is aware and can take to the arts for their own self-development.
As you were saying this, Akshata, I was thinking about something that I have heard said by my wife, but I know it's originally by Richard Rohr, and that is, pain that's not transformed gets transmitted. And I think art has the ability to really pull that off, right?
Yeah.
It gives you an outlet to transform that pain into something more constructive. It could be a sort of getting rid of your anger. It could be whatever it is, but it's
Yeah.
getting out of you versus being bottled in. And
Absolutely.
if you don't get out of your system in a constructive way, it will come out in a way that hurts others.
Yeah. And Nikhil, earlier on, we were also like kind of when we met online, we were talking about holistic approach to health, right? And a big part of holistic approach or holism in health is also about looking at mental health. We've never, when we grow up, generally people around us, our parents tell us, oh, don't cry. Why are you crying? Stop crying. Or like, you are not supposed to be this angry. What is that? We are all bottling all of these emotions into our bodies. And like you said, it turns out to be because it turns out or grows into something else. We've always kind of, or the society around us have always kind of told us not to do something. But this is exactly what expressive arts is telling you to do right now. Like, don't bottle your emotions into your bodies, because now they're turning into psychosomatic symptoms, or even like diagnosis, long-term diagnosis. Right now, we're asking you to just release it, relieve, like let it out in whatever form. And it's not like you have to just talk about it, but in whatever form, structure it wants to take, allow it to be expressed, because that's how, like, we feel much lighter, right? For the lack of a better word, because whenever, and this is an experience maybe most of you have had, whenever you cry with someone, or whenever you talk something that's been inside of you for a very long time, you start feeling better. It's, you might not start feeling better right there and then, but you know that it's gotten released. You feel lighter. You feel that the burden is off your shoulders. And that's exactly what we are trying to do with the arts. We are saying express more, let it out, let those emotions take a form that it needs to take a form. And
And-
all of that happens in a safe space, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Breathing is one of those highly underrated things, right?
Mhm.
As you started the session, um, the moment you made us breathe, and it was not for 10 seconds, it was for a proper few minutes. And I think it just already started playing a role in refocusing everyone. And just it's such an amazing thing that you could start with something as simple as breathing, but doing it the right way
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
100%. And what we did was not like, I didn't tell you you have to do like a certain kind of breathing. I just said breathe in your natural way, just the way you are. Like, just acknowledging that is also a lot. How many times do we do that in the day, right? We're constantly like actually breathing, but how many times you're actually taking that pause to be like, okay, let me concentrate on my breathing, or let me just take a breath.
Yeah. The other thing that I've observed is um, you don't have to be, and I think you sort of made that point, you don't have to be good at the art. You just have to do it. And sometimes we get so caught up in, but I'm not good at it, so then let me not
Yeah.
do it. Rather than do it, because even doing it without these standards of what's good and what's bad releases you from all the pressures that we keep putting on ourselves, right?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why, like, there's a very common term that we use in expressive arts, which is called play space. Like, just play with the arts, just allow yourself to engage in the arts. And I think there is a lot of value in that. Just creating that space of, playfulness with the arts, playfulness with, like, whether it's music, movement, visual arts, drama, all of them, and then see what happens with it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, one thing that I'm intrigued about is the fact that you work at two different hospitals in the city, and they're pretty well-known hospitals. Uh, I've always thought that there is, new things like this aren't always very easily accepted. But based looking at your experience, at least from the outside, it looks like it is becoming more and more accepted, and that's wonderful. But was it always like this, or did you have to sort of convince the medical fraternity that this is real and it does have an impact?
I think half of my life has gone into convincing people what I do. I was telling one of my really close friends recently, saying, all my life, I think I've just in the last 10, 12 years, I've just like told people, this is what I do, this works. So really advocating for the arts. But I guess, like, yes, initially it was like all, oh, you do this for fun. It will be fun. It will be great for the patients to have like fun. And I was like, yeah, okay, if this is the start, this is the start. And then eventually, like, people started to notice that the patients were also using more and more of the arts, because after a certain point, they had no words to express what they were going through. And so the arts became co-passengers in their journeys. Um, and a lot of my work is in the oncology daycare at both of these hospitals. So there is a lot of uncertainty. There is a lot of trauma to the body. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of stories that kind of people bring in about their past lives as well. And then, of course, like what's the future? What's future for them? How is this treatment going to where is this treatment going? So a lot of that uncertainty is held with the use of the arts. And at times, words cannot do that. So you need the arts for that, to hold all these feelings. To also, like, in these sessions, what happens is when the arts are used, there is a certain kind of control. Even if you don't have control in your life and over your treatment, at times, there's control in these small moments, which gives a lot to the patients. And I guess that's very, very meaningful. So to go back to your question again, like, yes, it's not been a linear path. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of like conversation. There was a lot of like research that came into our conversations to tell first doctors, because yes, they are a trusted source for the people, and to tell them that this really works and this could go parallel with their treatment. So now arts have become like co-passengers in their treatment. And sometimes I go into the daycare and I don't have my art box with me, and the patients will be like, why haven't you come with your art box today? And I know that's the change that we are looking at. And these are small moments that we look forward to, because that's how the awareness grows. That's how they know that this is working for them.
That is just so heartwarming to hear. I mean, the fact that it helps patients, that is definitely very, very amazing. But the fact that it is now being accepted by the fraternity is equally important, right?
Yeah.
And I was intrigued by the fact that you were doing this with oncology, with cancer patients. And I would have, if you had asked me to guess, right, where do you think? I would have said maybe you're doing it, starting it off with kids, because I'm sure they would also benefit. What led to oncology and cancer patients being the sort of such a big focus?
So like I said, like for me, everything is about stories. So a couple of reasons why I also got into the medical field was I grew up listening to my sister talk. She's a pediatric nephrologist in the US. I grew up listening to the stories that she had from her hospital. And she is somebody who I look up to. She's someone who holds empathy. She's a doctor, but she's full of empathy. And while listening to her stories, I realized, and I could make the connections of how arts could be really helpful in the medical field as well, just to see like, it is a place again which is so trusted. Like the hospitals are so trusted. It's a trusted environment. People trust the doctors, people trust the hospitals, and to include something like the arts is very valuable, because when it comes from the doctors, people know that, okay, this is going to be helpful. So I think like for me, when I look back, I had all of these things in my mind that I wanted to bring across. I wanted to kind of like tell people more about how arts is useful and how they should definitely use the arts for their well-being and for their growth and as a treatment modality. So I went to the hospitals first. Then I had my sister to kind of like have all of these stories. Then I had some personal experiences from people around me who used the arts while they were going through treatment as well. And I know that it really kind of helped and supported them. So all of these things kind of started to come in together to see like how all of these intersections can really be helpful for the people. Also, like hospitals can be really boring, right? When I say boring, like they're white, they're a certain color. You walk into the hospital and half of the patients are telling you, I don't want to be here, I want to go back home. And so in those moments, if we can bring in some color, if we can bring in some expression, that changes their perspective as well. And to tell you a few stories, recently, in fact, just 2 days ago, I had a patient who came and said, I come to the hospital because I see color now. Initially, it was for the treatment, but now it's for the color. It's because I can do something every time I come here. It's not because like I have to take my treatment, but I'm always like curious about what are we going to do today? What art modality are you going to bring in today? So I guess all of those things really kind of support the work that we do, and continue and want to kind of continue to do, to just make like these medical centers which have so many people coming in, and the health load is a lot, right? There's so much overload on the hospitals, on the medical centers. And so through these treatment modalities, how can we also kind of look at well-being? How can we look at expression? So I guess all of these were my thought processes before I jumped into the medical field, but a lot of inspiration from a lot of people around me, but also this conviction that, yes, I want to bring the arts to everyone.
And specifically oncology, is that because it just happened, or you chose it, like, let's go after oncology patients first?
Actually, like, again, like, I think Rashida, who's a big part of this group as well, connected me to one of the doctors who is a full supporter of the arts. Her name is Dr. Shona Nag, and she is my reason to be in the medical field, and she supports me every single day. So that's why oncology. But one of the other reasons also was I saw my husband's father go through cancer and dialysis, and he used music, and he used to play the guitar, and I saw that. And when Rashida actually came in saying that, like, yeah, I have somebody in oncology, I was like, well, this is a great way to kind of also offer the benefits of the arts that I saw in a more formalized way. And I guess, like, from oncology, it's moved to the dialysis center, to OPDs. Right now, I'm also working with mother and child care, especially with mothers whose babies are in the NICU. And then a big part of my research or my doctorate is about working with the nurses and building a mental health literacy program for them. And we are doing that using the arts. So at every point of time, I think there is the use of the arts. The arts are kind of coming in together. So I guess, like, now the arts are being used on multiple levels. In fact, with the Jahangir Wellness Center also coming in Pune, it's a big push towards using the arts as a treatment modality. And it's a pathology lab, right? Technically, like, they come in to do their testing, but then we are integrating the arts while they come in, or when they're waiting for their tests to happen as well. So I guess we are really looking at pushing the arts in all ways and in all directions.
You're actually giving people a reason to want to come to the hospital, which is already...
I mean, I at times tell them that I don't want to see them here, honestly. Like, I would never want to see them there. But I mean, when they come there, we will make sure that we provide holistic care.
Yeah. And by the way, just as a side note, Shona Nag was my mom's oncologist. So there is that connection. Now, you mentioned, Akshata, that you are pursuing a doctorate. Yeah. What is the biggest driver that pushed you in that direction?
Oh, well, I think, like, how I selected my topic. I mean, firstly, I was like, a lot of people joke about this, but they say that I can't stop. I don't want to stop learning, because, of course, like, with this field, it's like now getting formalized in such a beautiful way. You just want to kind of keep on doing, right? But how I also came to this topic was I saw the nurses and their interactions with the patients, and I saw it being very linear, very physical symptoms from that perspective. And so I was like, I don't think this is holistic health. And I think, like, and nurses spend the most amount of time with the patients. The doctors come and go. We come and go. We barely spend any time with them, but the nurses are there throughout, from the time they get admitted to the time they get discharged. They are there. And I felt like it was the need. And in fact, I'm doing a co-creation program. That means I'm developing this literacy program with the nurses. So it's not like I'm telling them what to do. I'm actually kind of telling them, come together, let's come in together and let's develop this. Let's see what support you need. Because a lot of times, a lot of narratives were like, oh, don't worry, be positive. But somebody on a palliative care bed, when you tell them be positive, that you know that's not working for them. So they also felt very stuck. They also felt like, okay, I don't know how to deal with this patient. So that's how my topic kind of came in together. So basically, I'm co-creating a mental health literacy program with the nursing staff for the nursing staff using expressive arts intervention. So we are using collage making, we are using drumming, we are using visual art mind maps to kind of co-create this literacy program. So yeah, that's been the driving force to kind of start a PhD, and I'm 2 years, 4 months into it. I have 1 year, 8 months to go. I'm counting every day, but I'm also really excited to see like where this goes, and how it develops and supports the healthcare system.
I'm sure this project is also bringing joy to the nurses because it makes their jobs also a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I'm going through all the interviews, and when I ask them, "Oh, how did you feel after the interview?" The one thing that they say is like, "We got to do something different," and I was like, "Well, that's something that's like, interactive, different for them, also helpful in so many ways."
Yeah. The whole topic of mental health, which is what you're trying to solve, has always had this stigma associated with it, and that seems to be changing. But from your vantage point, are you finding that when the topic now becomes about arts, it's almost like the focus now is on the arts, and is that helping or is that not really helping?
You know what? I wish it was helping, but I want to give you an insight. So mental health stigma was there. Now the arts have also kind of like, they also have that, I wouldn't say stigma, but perspective of like, oh, I want to be good at the arts. I have to create something beautiful. So now we are dealing with like, okay, mental health is okay to talk about. And then the other thing is, it's okay to make art without having this, oh, I need to make a beautiful picture. So we're working with both of these things together. So I wouldn't say, I think we are addressing both of these things together. So we are also kind of, see, the stigma of mental health was there a lot more than what it is right now, especially before COVID. I know we didn't need COVID to kind of push the mental health awareness, but it's happened. It's kind of pushed the mental health awareness through the last few years. So I guess like right now, yes, that awareness is developing more and more, but I'm also talking about like a privileged class of people in Pune, right? And I'm talking only about Pune because I work and I've lived here all my life. So I guess that's one thing. But when we go to like more local communities, I think that they're still trying to understand, or they have different literacies of mental health. So for somebody, mental health is actually like faith in God. For somebody else, it would be some superstitious practices. We can't negate any of that, but we can build on that and create more awareness. So we're creating awareness of mental health right now, but we're also creating awareness of how the arts could be used for mental health.
Got it. Very beautifully put. I know we're running out of time, Akshata, and I know you wanted to give us some insight into what our doodling meant or our words meant.
Yeah, and one big part, this is going to be, I don't think you're going to like my answer, but one big part of expressive arts therapy is not to analyze anybody's art or interpret anybody's art, but it is more about acknowledging and sitting with everything that's come in. So whether it was that little om that came in your art with a little kindness, or whether it was just doodly structures that came in Nadia's sister's art, or whether it was that feather that came in, there's no judgment, there's no analysis, there's no interpretation, but there's more conversation, and there's more like, I would, if we had a longer session, I would ask you more questions about it and what does it mean for you. And so it's a big part of expressive arts therapy is also making your own meaning, understanding how does it connect with your own life. And so then we would ask more questions. We would like work through some of the narratives and experiences that you've probably had in the past as well.
Yeah. Wow. You definitely took us down the path. And I see it. I mean, I see the focus is not on what the focus is. It's a conversation starter.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a beginning of exploration. It's a beginning of meaning making. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go to the questions.
Cool.
So Nadia, your question: how can you please paste the URL for the individual community here? So one of us will do that right away. I think we went through all the terms used. Aniket also used peace. Amrita said, in the exercise, the smell of my color pencil box helped me relax and put a smile on my face. Probably
That's
took me to
amazing.
my inner child, innocence of being versus the complex layers that life adulting brings.
Mm. And that's again, like we were talking about this, right? We were talking about sensory activation and how it helps us. So, Amrita, thank you so much for bringing that in, because that's a big part of the work that we do, just to kind of understand the texture of the crayons, or the smell of the crayons, and all of these things really kind of support us in working with communities and clients.
Yeah. All right, Nadia, I have the link in the bottom. We have a comment from Kedar. Kedar said, Patch Adams, the movie with Robin Williams, comes to mind. Have you watched that, Akshata?
No, I haven't. I am making a note of this one.
Yeah, it's definitely a must watch. Kedar, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you for
Uh,
sharing that. Yeah.
Nadia, that is so true. I work with kids and teens doing mindfulness and yoga, and we have been working, creating art like ops drawing. But I think this particular link will be helpful to this group. We added music and have the eyes closed when they do this activity. So Nadia works at a public school in this area, in the Bay Area, and the link is something Nadia has put as well.
So it's sorry, Nikhil, it's more like an oops drawing. So what we make them do is like they do exactly what Akshata said, that where you kind of just draw with your eyes closed. You make a mistake, but from that mistake, then you create your art. So you think about art in a way that it's like people, like you said earlier, that they try to judge it. So you're not really judging it, but you see what you've created and how can you make it different or accept what you have, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it actually come up from somebody's actually spilling coffee. That's how it became an oops drawing.
Yeah. Thanks, Nadia. Kedar also said, I feel art also gives purpose, ikigai, for the ones with dwindling hope. And this makes a huge difference of fighting any disease, as diseases are not just the maladies of the body, but also of the mind.
Yes, 100%, 100%. It's a lot about creating that hope and purpose, and like just something to hold on to, right? Like just a support system to hold on to.
Yeah. Amrita's added a few of the workshops of the person she recommended. And then Varun has said you can connect with Akshata on Instagram here. So thank you, Varun, for sharing that. We'll make sure to put that into our show notes so that for those who want to access Akshata's Instagram site can get there, and the URL for the community is also right down there. If any other questions anyone wants to ask, you can get off mute to ask it. You have a couple of minutes. Okay, Savita has a question. Would you say sports could also play a similar role?
You know, when we talk about sports, it of course like helps with holistic health, because again, like it's movement, it's helping you with the mind body connection. If we specifically have to speak about therapy, another branch of therapy is play therapy, that is largely used in various populations right now, and various groups and ages, and children of all ages. So I guess play therapy would be the closest to sports, but sports help you in holistic health, definitely. When it comes to therapy, I would say like the more connecting part there is play therapy.
You know, just to share, one of the things I have found is whenever the work pressures build up, you tend to think about it in every, like you're having your food, you're walking, it's constantly playing at the back of your mind. But in my case, whenever I go play football, I have to focus so much on, keeping the ball out of the goal that, it gives me the most downtime. So physically it's heavy, but mentally it completely distracts you from things that just don't leave your mind otherwise. And
Yeah.
so I guess all of that falls into play therapy, as you were saying.
Yeah, I think like with sports or yoga, somebody mentioned yoga as well. Like all of these are contributing to our health. All of these are helping us in so many ways. So when we look at holistic health, we are looking at all of these factors coming in. So I'm glad a lot of you have those questions as well when it comes to like sports or yoga or gymming or doing like a workout. It's of course contributing to your health, overall health. But then of course that is different from just therapy work as well. So just to understand the difference, there's no right and wrong again, just to understand like what is help for what.
Yeah. I think it sounds like there's also something called cooking therapy, according to a New York Times article. So I guess they're all
I
just
mean, like at this point of time, everything is becoming therapy right now. Retail therapy, Bollywood therapy, like the list is endless.
Yeah. Kedar also said, asked, do you bring pranayam or breathing into your approach? Has been used to reset tachycardia. Nurses would benefit from this.
Yes, we do a lot of breathing, breath work. We do a lot of that, but not pranayam because I'm not trained in doing pranayam. So I just use just breath work that I have learned, but really also focusing on observing the natural patterns of breathing. So
Is there
that's
any, Akshata, is there any specific breathing technique that you would recommend, like the 4-7-8, the box breathing, or
there are a lot of those, right? So, and I would definitely like, I work with subjective experiences of people. So I would not say like one size fits all. So it really depends on what works for you and what technique or tool would help you. So like we say, oh, meditation is really helpful. It's so generalized. But meditation could also mean various different things. It could be paying attention to your breath. It could be sitting down and breathing. It could all dancing could be meditation. Music could be meditation as well. So really understanding what works for you. So I generally do not generalized and I don't do that recommendation saying that would box breathing be helpful. I would say look at some things that would personally benefit and help you.
if it works for you, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if it doesn't work for you, it will definitely let you know it's not working for you.
I know we're running out of time. I just make a couple of comments. Raj said, I find running, gardening very therapeutic and meditative as well. So that's an example.
Amazing.
And in India, is traditional Freudian style talk therapy more common versus different forms of CBT?
Yeah, talk therapy in general is way more common in India, like under the branches of psychology, counseling, therapy work as well. A lot of people have been trained and are using different forms of talk therapy. So definitely those are more common. But I would also say, like with expressive arts therapy as well, it's not like we are not using talk at all. It's not only creation. We're definitely also using talk. We're also using verbal language. It's just that how a talk therapist would approach a therapy session would be through language. How we approach a therapy session is through the medium of arts. So that's just the difference.
Got it. I think that's the last question from the group. But Akshata, thank you so much. It was a really fun conversation, and I think we all the number of emojis that were floating through the page tells you a lot, and that it absolutely resonated. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Of
And
course, thank you so much.
I hope others please show your love to Akshata. I think this is really, really amazing. And I hope one day we can get you back, Akshata, because as you're progressing on this, on the PhD, and you make progress and you work with the nurses to come up with newer and newer findings, I'm sure we'll all love to learn.
Yeah, 100%. I would love to share as well. Thank you so much for having me. I know you do this weekly, so it's amazing that you form this big community, and it's lovely that we have a space where we can engage in these conversations. So thank you so much for making me a part of it.
We are so excited. Thanks, Akshata, and thank you all for listening in. Bye.
Take care, everyone.